Hi there. I keep losing the clock on my videos, so I don't know how long they last. But I was at a distillery, which might be interesting because I bought this little bottle of 24% distilled alcohol with some kind of mix, and it's called Bridal Tears, but it has gold leaf in it, which of course is a nice thing for people that like gold and silver. This is real gold. I drank a glass yesterday and it doesn't hurt. I mean, I'm still alive. I got drunk, but that was what the intention was, I believe. I've been working on an idea, but I haven't really worked it out yet. It's very simple. It's a new legal system, and the reason why I'm interested in it is that if you have a situation where you have a Supreme Court that openly says that you should support the banking system, even if they commit legal acts. Basically, if you have corrupt politicians, if you have law enforcement on the side of Wall Street because they get large donations to expand their homeland security operations, then you have a problem. And the only thing well, there's two ways to solve it. One is a violent revolution, and the other thing is simply by replacing the existing authority with new authority. And the only way to do that is not from within it. So if I'm talking about a new legal system or a society that has new rules, you cannot create that society within the legal framework that exists. You simply have to start all over again with new laws, a new contract, a new identity, actually, as every American. But it's a little bit complicated, of course. The reason why I was thinking about it was because I saw a video by Steffi Gray, who is a student who is, of course, completely tied up in all kinds of debt for a student loan, because her studying for a year would cost $50,000, which is a ridiculous cost, which is simply burdening her for life with the debt that she has to pay off by serving in any type of operation that is a good friend of the banking system, that can remain alive. She's basically a slave, even though she has a high education. She's not free anymore. Simply, if you take a person of 22 years old and you burden him with about 200,000 euros of debt, that's a senseless situation. And such a person should be able to go bankrupt and lose that debt immediately. But apparently laws are changed so that when you go bankrupt, then you will retain the debt, or somebody else will have the debt, and it will follow you around for the rest of your life, which is a kind of capture, a kind of prison that you're in. And that's now protected and born out of the legal system that exists right now. And the only way to escape that is not to try to get a government official to change the law for you, because that's not gonna work. Because you've seen what happens. There's enough wrong to see that there is enough motivation to drive politicians to do anything to improve the situation, but they don't. That's basically the whole thing. The system is corrupt and it's broken. Now, so you have to start a new system, which I would say, well, you have to start a new society, a new legal society, and that would work very well for students. So every student could sign a paper where they choose an identity, because your identity is not chosen per definition, but in the new legal system you have to be identifiable. So you have to choose an identity, which can be a number of 40-digit number that you make up yourself. There's really no chance in hell that two persons will randomly choose exactly the same 40-digit number. So you can create an identifier, you can link your name to it, but you can have a rule that says the identifier remains the only way we identify you. So if we have a technical system, internet system, that has information related to that number, it's only related to that number. If you put your name to it, that's fine. If you don't, that's also fine. You have to keep that number for yourself or it gets lost. What you then do is you say, well, I identify myself like this, and if I participate in interactions with other people that are also a member of the new society, as the name I just picked, which I think is quite apt. There have been new societies, and you can Wikipedia there it. But anyway, that's the name I came up with. If there's other members of this new society, I will interact with them according to the rules of the new society, always. That's the contract that you basically create. And if persons do not behave as is legal, according to the legal laws of the new society, then I will not interact with that person. I do not do business with him, I will not communicate with him, I will not help him, etc. Of course, there's lots of room for being human, and of course, but the point is that you create a new legal framework, a new society, which of course can have 99% of the laws that are in place at the moment, which are quite sensible, but which can reject a part of the laws that are not sensible. And the second rule would be that any law that is, let's say, created or ignored on purpose by article number, by specific reference in the actual law that is the law of the normal society, will be decided as the whole group of the new society. The new society will decide that. So if the new society is a group of students, and that can be 50,000 or 100,000 students, all have identity in the new society, they all decide that if you go bankrupt, you go bankrupt. And there's no recourse for a bank to go after you or your family or whoever else if you have gone bankrupt. You make that rule. You know that you want to have that situation. If there's enough people in the new society that abide by the rules of the new society, that have an identity in the new society, then you can start, or right from the beginning, you can start stopping interaction with the actual legal system that you don't like anymore. You can simply say, well, I won't shop at the stores that do not acknowledge the laws of the new society. I won't talk or I won't service or help the people that do not acknowledge the laws of the new society. And this is a little bit akin to having a religion, and then of course it's not new to anybody. But of course, if you think about it for a minute and you take the mysticism out of religion, out of the different religions, then you know that they're all bodies of law that you abide by if you are a member of that religion. New society is not a religion, it's simply a legal system. And it's not new to adopt a new legal system, and it's not new to purge laws, to remove mistakes. Of course, that's a well-known process that's constantly going on. If the Republicans are in charge, they remove laws that were created by Democrats, and the other way around, because there are still two political groups, even though they both are servants of the fossil fuel carbon credit system. So, but my basic idea that I wanted to talk about, and that I think is interesting for anybody that is young at the moment and wants to have a future, is that they, instead of being doing a revolution in the street, they define themselves as member of the new society. They create a way to administer the laws of the new society, which are not then owned by any of them, so they cannot be persecuted for being a terrorist organization or something. That can be done outside, as long as they support it. It's the identity of an individual that is known, that defines his level of support. It's complicated anyway. I have a website called @democracy, and I would really like to work on this idea, to give it more, let's say, hands and feet, as we say in Holland. And if you think it's interesting, you should respond to this video, and I'll try to create a draft identity document that you need to have. And the nice thing about the identity document is that it doesn't identify you like biometrics. It only says that you exist in this legal system, this legal framework, and you can choose to identify yourself as that member. So that's funny. So you don't have to. You're not owned by anybody. You're simply supporting something, which means that if you withdraw your support, then your participation in the whole operation will be undefined and lost. I think that would be the best way to set up. So it completely protects the privacy of the individual, and nobody needs to know that you're part of this new society, unless you unless you decide to share, and you could basically check membership of other people in this new society if they give you the way by which they can be identified, which can be a token or an alias or anything like that. I'm not sure how that would work. Anyway, I thought it was an interesting concept to work on, and I think it's really for the younger generation that doesn't own anything and just sees itself faced with debt and all kinds of other burdens and mayhem and a future in a prison system if they don't abide by crazy restrictions and very or poverty. 20% of the US population are now approaching poverty. If you don't want all that, then this is a good solution, I think. It doesn't mean revolution. It means simply that you move the other way and you stop cooperating with a system that you don't like. Anyway, I hope this is interesting, and I'll make some more videos about this idea, and have a good evening.